I refused to lend my wife's brother money. So her family held a family ballot to coerce. Me, can you imagine the moment your world flips upside down, right in the heart of a family gathering? Picture Lucas Thompson standing in his in-laws' living room, surrounded by smirks and smug demands, as they try to strong-arm him into handing over thousands for a deadbeat's dream. The air crackles with tension. Will he cave under their so-called family vote? But Lucas isn't the pushover they think. His hand slips into his coat, pulling out a document that could torch their entire charade. What's in it? A secret so explosive it could unravel everything. As Emma, his wife, avoids his gaze, the room hums with unease. Is she hiding something? The mystery deepens with every heartbeat, promising a showdown where loyalty is tested, lies are exposed, and one man's quiet defiance sparks a fire no one saw coming. Dive into a tale of betrayal and cunning, where the stakes are sky high, and the truth is a weapon sharper than any vote. You really don't want to do this, I said, scanning the room, but they were all smirking, grinning like wolves eyeing a limping fawn. Her mother, her father, her two sisters, and the deadbeat slouched on the couch in a faded sweatshirt. Jake, her younger brother, the same guy who once borrowed my truck and left it reeking of puke in the back seat. He was now asking for 15 grand. Correction. They were all demanding it. We took a family vote, her father said, like this was some high court ruling, and the majority believes it's the right thing to do. I glanced at my wife, Emma. She avoided my eyes, sitting there, arms folded, staring at her phone like it held the secrets of the universe. No support, no loyalty, no spine. Majority rules, her mother repeated with a smug little grin. It's how we do things in this family. I tilted my head. Oh yeah, I said, pulling a folded document from my coat pocket. Then let's vote on something else. Silence. I tossed the paper onto the coffee table. It slid across and stopped right in front of Emma. It was the private investigator's report. Photos, timestamps, motel receipts, and right at the top, subject Emma Thompson. Affair under investigation. The room erupted in chaos. Emma shot up like her seat was electrified. What the hell is this? Her dad stood too. Is this some kind of joke, Lucas? Jake laughed nervously. Dude, this isn't cool. You want to talk about family decisions? I said, voice rising. Your daughter's been giving private coaching sessions to her fitness coach while I was pulling 12-hour shifts to keep this roof over your heads. Emma snatched the file off the table, flipping through it with trembling hands. Her eyes widened. Real wide, she slammed it shut and glared at me like I was the bad guy. You hired a PI? Are you serious? You slept with Tyler in the back of his Jeep. Yeah, I'm serious. More shouting. Her sister started sobbing. Her mum muttered something about shaming the family, and her dad had the gall to ask me to calm down, but I wasn't done. You voted, I said slowly, staring at each one. You voted to strong-arm me for cash. And your daughter's been fooling around behind my back. So, let me return the favor. I walked to the media console, grabbed a second envelope. This, I said, holding it high, is a notarized motion for divorce with evidence of infidelity attached. That means I get the house, the car, full custody of our dog, Buddy. Emma gasped. You're insane. No, I replied, stepping closer. What's insane is you thinking I wouldn't find out. What's insane is hooking up with Tyler during your lunch break, then texting me to grab oat milk like we're still normal. Jake mumbled something under his breath. What was that? I snapped. He looked up, suddenly bold. You're just mad because she finally got bored of you. I didn't hit him, but God, I wanted to. Instead, I leaned in close and whispered. When I refused to hand over cash to your sorry ass, you tried to humiliate me in front of everyone. Now look around. Who's humiliated now? Emma was shaking, not crying, not apologizing, just furious she'd been caught. She clenched her jaw like she wanted to breathe fire. You're ruining everything. You already ruined it, babe, I said. I just gave it a name. Then I left. I didn't slam the door. I didn't break anything. I just walked out, calm and silent, while chaos roared behind me. Her family's little power play had just backfired in the most explosive way possible, and it was only the beginning. It started with the gym. Emma never cared about fitness before. When we first met, she loathed sweating. She said ellipticals felt like hamster cages, and her idea of exercise was browsing at Walmart. But suddenly, 3 months ago, she got hooked. She'd leave for spin class at 6 a.m, come back radiant like she'd met a prophet, and start ranting about muscle toning like she was training for a marathon. At first, I was thrilled for her. I thought maybe she wanted to feel confident. Again, I even bought her new athletic gear, surprised her with Bluetooth earbuds. I was proud of her. Then she started showering before coming home. That was the first red flag. I asked her about it casually. She smiled and said the gym had revamped their locker rooms. High-end spa vibes, she joked. But her clothes were always too spotless, her hair too dry, her perfume too heavy for someone who'd just been sprinting. And then came the girls' nights. Every Thursday, same outfit. Skinny jeans, plunging top, pink lipstick she never used to wear. When I asked who she was meeting, she'd always say, "You don't know them. Just some girls from yoga. I'm not dumb." She never took yoga. One Thursday, I waited up. She came home at 2:17 a.m, cheeks flushed, pupils dilated. I was on the couch, pretending to doze. She jumped when she saw me. "Jesus, Lucas, you scared me. You're late." We lost track of time. I watched her as she kicked off her heels. She was walking funny. Not drunk, just stiff. "You smell like cologne." "It's a bar, Lucas. Lots of people." Something was wrong, but I didn't want to accuse her. I didn't want to be that guy, the jealous husband. So instead, I let it sit. I watched. I listened. I counted every lie she thought was trivial. 2 weeks later, I found the receipt stuffed in her jacket pocket. A motel lounge, 2 cocktails, a burger, a dessert. Her name was on the bill. I didn't say anything that night. I just went to bed and stared at the ceiling. My heart was pounding. My hands were numb, but my mind was already working. The next day, I hired a PI. His name was Mike. Older guy, polished look. Wore a jacket like he was in a 90s detective flick. I gave him a photo of Emma, a list of her habits, and a week's worth of "I think she's cheating" suspicions. He nodded once, took the folder, and said, "I'll have something for you in 4 days." He had something in 2. Photos, time-stamped. My wife leaning over the passenger seat of a grey Jeep. A guy with abs and no ethics had his hands all over her. Same guy she once mentioned, Tyler, her coach. I didn't even recall his face until I saw him again, gripping my wife's waist like it was his. The photo made my stomach churn. She looked happy, really happy. I sat in my car that night, clutching the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just stared at that picture until dawn broke. I'd been played, used, lied to daily, while she smiled and asked if I wanted steak or chicken for dinner. That weekend was her mum's birthday, which meant dinner, at her parents' house, a yearly ordeal I usually endured with bourbon. But this time, they had a scheme. Her deadbeat brother Jake had just lost another job and wanted to launch his own venture. Translation: take my money and torch it. And that's how we got to the vote. They thought they were so slick. Corner me, guilt trip me, bully me into funding Jake's vape shop or NFT hustle or whatever stupid idea he was pitching as brilliant. But I came prepared. I didn't just bring the PI's report. I brought it printed, copied, stapled, highlighted. I made sure there was enough evidence in that envelope to burn their whole house down. And when I dropped it on the table, I saw it. That flicker in Emma's eyes. Not guilt, not shame. Fear. The kind of fear that only shows when a liar realizes they're no longer calling the shots. I fed on it. And when I told them about the divorce, about the evidence, about everything I was taking with me, they knew the game was done. No more power plays, no more majority votes. I was done being the nice guy, done being the bank, the husband, the fallback. I walked out of that house with nothing but my keys and a faint smile, but I never felt lighter. I got home before she did. The whole drive back, my hands were steady. That surprised me. I always thought I'd be trembling when this day came, maybe yelling, maybe smashing a lamp. But no, I was ice, cold, focused. I opened the front door, walked in, and sat on the couch like I owned the place. Because I did. She didn't know it yet, but I'd already shifted the mortgage out of her reach. I'd frozen the joint account too. She was about to learn what powerlessness felt like. She walked in 10 minutes later, swinging her purse, humming some song like nothing had just exploded. Then she saw me. Her smile faded. "You left early," she said, tossing her keys into the dish. That was rude. I didn't answer. She kicked off her heels. "Well, I guess that little stunt of yours at my parents' place made you feel real big, huh?" I stood up, walked to the kitchen island, and slid the envelope across to her. She didn't touch it, just stared at it like it was a bomb. "More PI crap," she muttered. "Open it." She didn't. So I did it for her. I laid out the photos one by one, her half-dressed outside that motel, her sitting in Tyler's lap in his car, her sneaking out the gym's back door with her hair tied up and her wedding ring in her pocket. "Jesus, Lucas!" she finally spat. "This is so dramatic." I blinked. "Dramatic?" "Yeah," she snapped. "You're acting like I killed someone. It was just—" She hesitated, then rolled her eyes. It wasn't even serious. I laughed. It just came out, raw, loud, bitter. "You were screwing him in his back seat," I said. "He took you to a motel. You built a second life for yourself between squats and smoothies. And now you're telling me it wasn't serious." She crossed her arms. Defensive, cocky, no remorse. I didn't love him. Okay? It was just fun. I needed something different. Something cracked inside me. I leaned in close. "You needed different?" I whispered. "Try being married to someone who'd work his ass off so you wouldn't have to. Who'd take your family's endless bullshit without saying a word. Who'd stay loyal, even when he knew something was off because he believed in you." She scoffed. "Yeah, well, maybe if you didn't act like my dad's bookkeeper, I wouldn't have gotten so bored." There it was. The truth. The real Emma. Not the girl I married. Not the woman who once cried at our wedding vows. This thing in front of me was something else. A selfish, entitled brat who thought loyalty was optional and consequences were negotiable. "You disgust me," I said. She smiled. "You always were a little dramatic." "Don't worry," I added. "You won't have to put up with my drama much longer." I walked to the hallway closet, grabbed the suitcase I'd packed earlier that day, and wheeled it out. Her face twitched. "Wait, what are you doing? I told you I'm done." "Oh, come on, Lucas. Don't be stupid. We can fix this." "Fix what?" "Your affair. Your lies. The fact that you and your family tried to bully me into funding your brother's pipe dream." She didn't answer. I walked to the door, and then she said it. I bet Tyler's better in bed anyway. She said it loud, clear, sharp, like a blade meant to cut deep, but it didn't land the way she wanted. Because in that moment, I saw her. Really saw her. Not as my wife, but as a hollow, bitter woman who just lost the only man who ever treated her with real love. I smiled. "Tell him to buy you dinner next time." I hear he's broke. Then I walked out. Didn't look back. Didn't flinch. And as I pulled away from the house we built together, the last thing I felt wasn't sadness. It was relief. I had finally left. The lie. I didn't sleep that night. I tried. God, I tried. The motel bed was hard as hell. The AC clanked like it was spitting out screws, and the sheets smelled like bleach and regret. But none of that kept me up. What did was the silence. The silence after 10 years of noise. After late-night fights about nothing. After fake laughs at barbecues. After hearing her whisper someone else's name into a phone when she thought I was asleep. Now nothing. Just me, a ceiling, and a clock ticking like it was counting down to something. Maybe the end of who I was before this. I kept staring at the ceiling tiles, wondering when she stopped loving me. Maybe it wasn't all at once. Maybe it bled out slowly. One ignored hug, one half-assed lie, one missed text until she just stopped seeing me as a man and started seeing me as a paycheck in a jacket. I went to the office the next morning like a robot. My assistant, Rachel, asked if I was okay. I told her I was fine. I wasn't. I couldn't focus on the data, couldn't read reports. All I saw were her eyes, dead and empty, telling me Tyler was better in bed. By lunch, I found myself outside a lawyer's office. Sleek place, smelled like polished wood and fresh espresso. I handed him the file the PI gave me. His eyes widened as he flipped through it. "Jesus," he muttered, "you weren't kidding." "I want everything I'm owed," I said. "House, car, no spousal support, and I want the dog." He nodded. "With this evidence, you'll get it. Good." Because Buddy didn't deserve to live with a woman like her. He was loyal, loving, everything she used to pretend to be. I drove back to the house 3 days later. She wasn't supposed to be home, but she was. Tyler's car wasn't in the driveway, so I figured maybe they had a fight, or maybe he bailed now that she didn't have the safety net of a husband. He got what he wanted. That's what leeches do. She opened the door before I could knock. Her eyes were red. She looked like she hadn't slept either. "Can we talk?" "No." "Lucas, please." I didn't move. I didn't answer. "Just 5 minutes," she begged. I pushed past her and walked straight to the bedroom. I knew what I came for. Some clothes, my grandfather's pocket knife, a framed photo of Buddy and me at the river. Everything else could rot. She followed me down the hall like a shadow. "You're really going through with it?" I didn't answer. "I was stupid," she whispered. "It didn't mean anything. Stop saying that." "What?" "That it didn't mean anything. You risked everything for him. You told him things you never told me. You smiled in those pictures in ways you stopped smiling at me years ago. Don't insult both of us by pretending it was nothing." She started, crying, real tears, loud ones. "I didn't care. You just walked away," she sobbed. "Like I meant nothing to you." I turned to her, dead in the eyes. "You lied to me for months. You stripped every ounce of trust from this marriage. And when I needed you, when your family tried to corner me for money, you sat there and watched. You walked away first. You just never had the guts to do it out loud." That shut her up. She stood there, breathing heavy, mascara running, but I saw it, deep down beneath all the fake regret. She was pissed I didn't come crawling back, that I didn't beg her to stay, that I made the decision for both of us. That was always the problem with her. She wanted power, but not responsibility. She wanted freedom, but not consequences. I zipped up my duffel bag and headed for the door. Buddy's leash was hanging by the coat rack. She didn't stop me. I turned, one last time. "You'll regret this," I said quietly. "Not because you lost me, but because you lost the only man who ever stayed when he should have run." And then I walked away again. Only this time, it felt final. The day the divorce papers were served, she called me 37 times. I didn't answer once. She tried texts next, paragraphs that swung between rage, desperation, and manipulation. 1 second it was, "You're really doing this," after everything, and the next it was, "You'll be nothing without me." Funny, I was already starting to feel like something again. I didn't feel free yet, but I felt cleaner, lighter, like I'd finally dropped a weight I didn't even know I'd been carrying. I moved into a 2-bedroom apartment in the city. Nothing fancy, but it had hardwood floors, solid locks, and no perfume on the pillows. Buddy adjusted fast. Dogs always know. He stuck close to me, almost as if he could sense I needed him more than ever. I started running every morning at dawn. I'd never been a runner, but something about the rhythm of my sneakers on asphalt gave me peace, clarity, something Emma never gave me in those last years. One morning, about 3 weeks in, I ran past Tyler. Yeah, Tyler. He was outside a convenience store, leaning against his car, shirt off, chatting up some girl who couldn't have been older than 20. I slowed down just long enough to see his dented front fender and the stain on his gym shorts. Our eyes met. He smirked like a college jock who peaked too early. "Hey," he said, cocky. "Tell Emma I said hi." I didn't say a word, just kept running. But the next day, I called my lawyer and asked him to push forward with the asset freeze. If Tyler thought he was still a factor in her life, he was about to learn what it felt like when the money dried up. Because Emma, she didn't work. She never had to. She was my full-time dependent with a taste for mimosas and online boutiques. But that was over. 2 weeks later, she sent her sister to ask for a talk. I met her in a public coffee shop. No privacy, no drama. She showed up with sunglasses on, like she was the victim in a TV drama. "Emma's not doing well," her sister began. "She's been crying every day. She says you're destroying her." "Did she cry when she was hooking up with Tyler?" Silence. "Thought so." Her sister took a shaky breath. "Look, she made a mistake. But you guys had 10 years together. Doesn't that count for something?" "It does," I said. "It counts as a decade of lies, manipulation, and pretending. And I'm not doing it anymore. Lucas, she's really sorry. No, she's really caught." I got up, tossed some cash on the table, and left before I could say more. Because the truth was, I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt, not in the way I expected to be. What I felt was distance, like that whole life had happened to someone else. That night I poured myself a glass of whiskey, sat on the balcony with Buddy at my feet, and just listened to the city buzz around me. It hit me then, really hit me. I survived her. Not just the betrayal, not just the lies. I survived her, all of it. Her games, her cold shoulder, her fake apologies. I walked through hell, and I didn't burn. I walked out cleaner than I went in. And now I had one job left. Make sure no man ever falls for the same mask I did. I didn't start dating right away. Honestly, the idea of another woman near me made my skin crawl. I wasn't bitter. I was just wiser now, more cautious. I learned the hard way that someone can say they love you every day for years and still be plotting an exit the whole time. Trust is like glass. And Emma didn't crack it. She smashed it off a cliff. So I focused on rebuilding. I got back into cooking real meals, not microwave dinners or delivery bags. Buddy became my unofficial sous chef, always watching, tail wagging whenever he smelled bacon. I rediscovered music, records, mostly old stuff, real stuff. And I started writing again, not novels or anything grand, just thoughts, bits of memory, things I never got to say when I was too busy keeping the peace. Sometimes I'd catch myself laughing alone at something dumb, and I'd pause, surprised. I hadn't laughed in months, maybe years. That's when I knew I wasn't just healing, I was coming back to life. I ran into Emma again eventually, not planned, not dramatic, just a supermarket on a rainy Tuesday. She was in the wine aisle, hair tied up, wearing that same blue coat I bought her on our 4th anniversary. The one she said made her feel like a woman who reads poetry. Funny, she never read anything except social media posts. She spotted me before I could turn away. "Lucas," she said, like my name still belonged to her. I nodded. "You look good," she added, scanning me like she was trying to figure out if I was doing better without her. Spoiler, I was. "Thanks," I said. "You look busy." My eyes dropped to her cart. Frozen meals, a single bottle of cheap wine, dog food. Nobody, obviously, just a new name, probably a new leash. "I miss you," she blurted. That stopped me. Not because it touched me, but because it was so Emma. No apology, no ownership, just a reach, a hook. Like she still believed she had a line, into my heart. I didn't smile. "You miss what I gave you," I said. "Not me." Her face fell, but I kept going. "You miss the man who forgave your tantrums, paid your bills, covered for your family's messes, and loved you even when you didn't deserve it. She looked like she wanted to argue, but I didn't give her the chance. Take care, Emma. And just like that, I walked away. No dramatics, no fireworks, just a quiet ending. She never chased me again. Some nights, I still think about the moment it all snapped. That family vote, her silence, my file on the table, the chaos that followed. It plays in my head like a scene from someone else's movie. A version of me that bled too much for a woman who'd already checked out in her mind. But I'm grateful. Not for the pain, not for the betrayal, but for the truth. Because once you've seen someone's real face, you stop falling for the mask. Now I don't chase love. I let it find me, if it ever does. But I'll never again trade my peace for someone else's comfort. Never again lower myself to keep someone from walking away. And I'll never ever ignore the signs. I'm not the same man who sat on that couch watching his wife lie with a mouthful of excuses and no trace of guilt. That man is gone. The one who replaced him knows what he's worth. He knows what real love looks like, and he'll never settle for less again. It took almost 6 months for the divorce to be finalized. She delayed it. Of course she did. Claimed emotional distress. Said she needed space before signing. Her lawyer tried to play cute, throwing out settlements like we were haggling over a used bike instead of 10 years of my life. But I didn't budge. I had the photos, the receipts, the PI's full report, and the look on her face during that family vote burned into my memory. They thought they could break me, but all they did was teach me how to walk without a chain. When the final papers came through, I didn't throw a party, no big celebration. I just sat at the kitchen table, opened the envelope, and read the words, "Dissolution of marriage," like they were the last sentence in a book I'd forced myself to finish. Then, I took a breath so deep it shook my ribs. That night I went back to the river, the one where Buddy and I used to hike. It was late, too cold for comfort, but I needed to stand there. I needed to feel the silence, the breeze off the water, the sound of the trees whispering things no one else could hear. Buddy sat beside me, tail curled around his feet, eyes on the dark. "You remember how she used to hate coming here?" I said, aloud, knowing he didn't care about the words but would understand the tone. She said the mosquitoes made her itchy. Said the quiet made her feel small. I laughed under my breath. The quiet saved me, Buddy. And that's when I realized I hadn't thought about her face in days. Not really. Not the real her. Not the mask she wore when she wanted something. Not the forced laughs. Not the fake cries. Not even the way she used to say, "I love you." Like it was a reflex. It was like her presence had faded. Like the smoke finally cleared and left nothing but open sky. I met someone new a few months later. Not in the way movies romanticize it. No spilled coffee, no locked eyes from across the room. Just a bookstore, a real one. She was standing in the self-help section, thumbing through a paperback about setting boundaries. We talked briefly, politely. She smiled like she meant it. And when I asked if she came there often, she laughed and said, "Wow, that was almost charming." Her name was Mia. We didn't go out right away. We talked first, for weeks. Calls, texts, walks with our dogs, nothing rushed, nothing fake. She didn't ask about Emma. I didn't volunteer. Eventually, I told her, not the full mess, but the parts that shaped me. The betrayal, the lies, the way I lost myself in trying to keep a woman who didn't want to be kept. She listened, quiet, no judgment, just understanding. And when she finally spoke, she didn't say, "I'm sorry." She said, "That must have hurt like hell." That's how I knew she was different. We're still figuring it out, Mia and I. There's no promises, no illusions, just two people who've been burned and are careful not to set fires in each other's lives. And that's enough for now. If someone asked me what I learned from all of this, I'd tell them this: listen early, leave sooner, and never mistake chaos for passion. Love isn't meant to hurt like that. Love isn't silence during a betrayal. Love doesn't sit still when you're being broken. If you ever feel like you're begging to be chosen, you're in the wrong story. Walk away. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is leave the room before they vote and bring the match with you. The day I truly knew it was over wasn't when the papers were signed, or when I left the house with Buddy, or even when I saw her at that supermarket trying to claw her way back into my life with crocodile tears and a cart full of regrets. It was the night I slept and didn't dream about her. No memories, no arguments, no what-ifs, just quiet, peaceful, undisturbed sleep. I woke up with the sun on my face, Buddy curled up by my feet, and a strange, powerful stillness in my chest where the war used to be. That's when I realized I hadn't lost a wife. I'd lost an illusion, and in return, I found myself. So, if you're reading this, if you're in the middle of it, questioning your worth, watching someone chip away at your dignity piece by piece, don't wait for the explosion. Don't sit through the lies hoping they'll somehow turn into truth. If she's cheating, lying, disrespecting you in public and in private, that's not your wife. That's a stranger wearing her face. Walk, even if it breaks you at first, because one day, sooner than you think, you'll look in the mirror and see him again, the man you were before her, the man who gave too much, who tolerated too long, who bent so far he almost snapped. You'll see him and you'll nod, maybe smile a little and say, there you are. And if you're lucky, someone new might come along, not to fix you, not to save you, but to meet you in the middle with open hands and no hidden daggers. But even if she doesn't, you'll be good. Because peace is worth more than a ring. Peace doesn't cheat. Peace doesn't vote against you in your own goddamn living room. And peace always wins in the end. From the wreckage of a family's calculated betrayal, Lucas Thompson emerged not broken, but forged anew, teaching us that truth, once unveiled, is a force that reshapes destinies. His journey through Emma's deception and her family's manipulative vote reveals a profound truth. The greatest battles are won not with fists, but with unwavering self-respect. Lucas didn't crumble under their pressure. He stood tall, wielding evidence like a sword to cut through their lies. His lesson is clear. When loyalty is weaponized against you, trust your instincts over empty promises. Never let guilt or love blind you to disrespect, whether it's a spouse's affair or a family's greed. Lucas's refusal to fund Jake's schemes and his swift move to protect his assets show that boundaries are not selfish, they're survival. For those facing similar betrayals, his story urges you to act decisively, gather proof, secure your future, and walk away from those who diminish you. The deepest wisdom here is that peace is your ultimate victory. It's not found in revenge, but in reclaiming your worth and building a life free of deceit. Let Lucas's path remind you, you are enough, and no vote can strip away the strength you carry within.